What's up, everybody? Break MMA. Um, Bringing to you UFC Fight Night Mexico. Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg. I kind of just want to talk about a couple particular fights. Gonna be honest, some of the prelims. I really don't have a lot to say about them, but I'm just gonna pick who I think is gonna win anyway. So we're gonna start out with the first card of the fight. First fight of the card. Sorry. Um, I'm gonna go with Markel Medeiros. I'm gonna go with Jamal Emmers, and I'm gonna go with Rafa Garcia. Um, for one, Pichel is 36. For one, Austin Hubbard is Austin Hubbard, right? That's all I gotta say. And Gabriel Miranda is Gabriel Miranda. I feel like those don't really need explanation. I'm gonna go with Lupi Godinez. I don't know too much about Palastri to be able to pick her. And this is a Mexico card. This is not obviously, but this is probably meant to be a winnable fight for any Mexican on the card. So I'm gonna go with Godinez. But she also did have she's coming off a loss. I think her only loss was to Dern. I don't know if it was by finish. Was it by finish? No. Yeah, I don't think I remember it being like maybe super one-sided. I think the first two rounds were competitive. I'm going off memory, by the way. I believe the first two rounds were competitive, and then I think Dern was taking the lead off in the third. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with Godinez. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about the others. But Christian Rodriguez versus Melquetzel Costa. I struggled saying his name last time. But he's coming off a win from UFC Seattle, which was, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Right? I don't know. I don't remember exactly. I think it was in February, March, April, May. Sorry, I got to count on my hands. So yeah, he just came off a fight from Andre Fili. Christian Rodriguez, the prospect killer, right? Costa isn't an undefeated prospect. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Costa, right? It seems so far that Christian Rodriguez is only capable of beating undefeated prospects, right? And like I said, Costa's not undefeated, and he's also very good. He's pretty solid for featherweight, and I think Costa is well rounded enough, or showed that he at least has the ability to pull submissions off of his back pretty well, which I think is going to be important when fighting someone like Christian Rodriguez, who has very good grappling, right? He's been put against Isaac Dolgarian, great wrestler. Austin Bashi, I think he's coming from D1 wrestling, NCAA. I don't remember. I don't know what college. And then Raul Rosas, right? Like, he's fended off the takedowns from all of them, and has been able to scrape some wins against all three. And I think he's gotten a takedown in all of them as well. But yeah, so Christian Rodriguez has really good defensive grappling, and some pretty good offensive grappling too. But I think the stand up is more, how do I say? The gap in grappling is probably isn't as big as the gap in striking. So I think I'm gonna go with Costa. I think this is gonna go to a decision. I think 29-28 Costa. I think the first round Costa is going to win, because Rodriguez seems to always start pretty slow in the first round. And then in the second, I think he'll probably try to pick it up. Maybe he'll get some more reads. But I think Costa's going to clutch it within the third. So, yeah, I'm going with Costa by decision, 29-28. Next, Jose Medina versus Atiba Gautier. I genuinely don't know if this is his first time here. Yeah, this is his debut. Um, I don't remember him on the Dana White Contender Series, and I don't even know if I can look that up. Trains at Manchester top team, so he trains with Leon, I believe. 91% takedown defense. Wow. My fault. Jeez. I mean, I'm not too familiar with either. Yeah. I guess I'm gonna go with Gautier. You know, no real reason. I guess just physique, just off physique and potential aura. And Medina's Bolivian. He is not Mexican, so he isn't meant to win this fight. So I'm gonna go with Gautier. No real reason. Probably by knockout somewhere in the second round. I don't know. Edgar Shiraz versus CJ Vergara. Now, y'all know I love my flyweights. So I like both. But they're both very streaky. I wouldn't have the odds I think the odds would be a lot closer if it wasn't in Mexico. Had it been anywhere, I think it probably would have been a pick'em. But I want to just go through all these again. So, lost to Tatsuro Taira, which isn't bad. Beat Lacerda in the first round, which isn't necessarily a good win. Lacerda was like 0-5 in the UFC, and then had a very good scrap with Joshua Van. So Shiraz is very solid, very durable. He has very good submissions, very good triangles and guillotines. And he goes for them a lot, especially if the fight goes to the ground. I don't particularly remember if he's the one to engage in the grappling. If he's like, take him down and then start to work. I can't remember that right now. But CJ Vergara coming off 2 losses. To Amabayev, not a bad loss, and to Temirov, not that bad of a loss, right? Because both of them are now ranked, but he was knocked out pretty bad. And Shiraz also has some solid striking, to be honest. Like when he's in there, you can see in his stance, like he feels very comfortable. It's very Muay Thai based. Good leg kicks, able to throw dynamic strikes like spinning elbows that he hit on Van that he almost beat. He could have knocked out Van with that, right? But Van thugged that out. And he's very durable. So actually no, yeah. I think I kind of agree with the odds. I think those are all gonna play parts into his victory. Because I'm gonna choose Shiraz over CJ Vergara. I think this might go to a decision though. CJ Vergara is very hard to finish. And I think that just speaks to the power of how much power Temirov has in his hands. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Shiraz, probably by decision though. Yeah, I think 30-27 decision. And now we move on to the main card. Ronaldo Rodriguez, Lazy Boy versus Kevin Borjas. I feel like I've always seen a fight card where Borjas has fought, but I've never seen. I just can't remember him fighting. He's fighting. He fights once a year. He lost to Alessandro Costa. He lost to Van. Neither of which are bad losses. Um, let's check the stats. Lazy Boy, very durable, right? Some good ground game, but he kind of just gets by off grit, right? So, excuse me. Um, I don't like this absorb per minute strikes, cause I feel like if it really comes down to them two just standing and banging, like, come on, bro, look at this real quick. Look at this real quick, right? Um, he immediately has like he does not have the structure of a granite chin, right? And I wouldn't say Lazy Boy does either, but he's proved it more. He's proved the levels of his chin. So I think if it comes down to these two, if it comes down to them just standing and banging, I think Lazy Boy's gonna win that exchange. And he definitely has the grappling advantage, it seems. And he's coming off of 2 losses. He's 0-2 in the UFC. This is the fight that Lazy Boy should win. All right, I think this may be an easier fight than the Ode Osborne. I knew that he was gonna struggle with Ode Osborne, with the reach, right? But I don't even think he actually won that fight. Gotta be honest. So Lazy Boy isn't particularly that good. Like I said, he kind of just gets by on grit. He did very well in the regional scene though, but in the UFC, his run hasn't been that impressive. But I do think he can pull this one off. I just can't be sure if it'll be a finish. I think he'll probably aim for one. I think he'd be trying to go for it because he wants to rile it up in Mexico. He's a big star in Mexico. He gets a lot of views. I think he has like 1 million plus followers. Shit. I'm really struggling to see like where he gets like a finish. Probably on the ground, right? Probably got a takedown. I think there's a situation where he almost submitted Ode. No, where he almost got submitted by Ode, but he survived. Triangle. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Lazy Boy. Also by decision though. David Martinez, is this his debut? It's his debut. Okay, guys, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really watch the Dana White Contender Series, so I couldn't tell you how good he is or not. Oliveira is 0-2 in the UFC. 11 wins by submission, 5 by knockout. Let me see. Black Spartan. Does it say anything about him? Okay, a lot of strikes landed. 100% takedown defense. 9 wins by knockout. Guys, I genuinely couldn't tell you. I'm guessing I'm just gonna go with David Martinez again. He's the Mexican. He's the one they probably want to win. So yeah. Raul Rosas versus Vince Morales. I like the slow route that they're going with Rosas. I know he eagerly wants to fight higher level opponents, but I don't think he's ready yet. I think he should still be taking his time to improve and getting more experience in the cage, because I think he just recently broke like 10 fights. Yeah, he just recently broke 10 fights. And he should be getting more in. So let's look at Vince Morales' last couple of fights. Lost to Elijah Smith. Sorry, I just had to remember his name real quick. Victor Lapilus, who's very good. Not very good, but he's pretty good. Lost to Miles Johns. God damn. Yeah, I'm going with Raul Rosas by submission. Oh, wait. All these were decision? I think Rosas can get the finish, though. To be honest. I think Rosas sets a higher pace than everybody here, besides maybe Miles Johns. Um, yeah, Rob Rosas definitely has a lot more aggression, especially coming out in the first couple rounds, in the first round, right? So I'm gonna go Rob Rosas by submission. Yeah. Next we got Kevin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer recently coming off a loss to, no, I think it's a win, right? Sorry. Coming off of a win. Yeah, over Burial. Lost to Hermanson though. Beat Al Hassan. Yeah. Burial isn't a good win, to be honest. He's done pretty bad in the UFC so far, but losing to Hermanson kind of shows the level of where he's at. Maybe he's improved from that. Hopefully he's improved from that, because that was a god damn, bro. Gastelum looks so much fatter, bro, and that makes me just not want to pick him. He's used to being the shorter fighter though, so I don't even want to account to the height and reach, right? He's done very well against somebody like Izzy when Gastelum was in his prime. I just don't know if I can trust Gastelum at this stage of his career. It seems like, he wants to make the comeback, but it doesn't seem that he's that serious about it. I feel like he kind of just wants to at least stay relevant. But he has had good quality of opponents in his last couple of fights. He just squeezed out a win versus Curtis. He was dominated by Brady in their fight. And I don't remember this D-Rod fight, but I would say he's definitely had better quality of opponents, even at 185. So it comes down to, do I think Kelvin even wants it anymore? Because Joe Pyfer is hungry, he's still young in his career, and he probably wants it a lot more than Gastelum. Because Gastelum seems like he might just be doing this, just to keep some food on the table. I think Gastelum will give Pyfer a solid fight. So I think these are pretty insane odds that I would never bet on. I think I would bet on Gastelum to win if I chose to do that by like a single bet. Piper's kind of a power merchant though. If he isn't able to knock somebody out, I think he struggles with that. He struggles a lot, especially when it comes to the later rounds. Kelvin, big old Mexican, big ass head. He's very tough, very durable. I think I gotta start writing scripts or something before I make these videos, because I feel like most of it is just me just saying and shit like that. But I do think I'm gonna go with Pyfer anyway. Like I said, he's just younger in his career. He actually he has more fire under him, and I guess he just has that momentum from the knockout, right? And he hasn't fought in a while, so I guess I don't know. I guess Joe Pyfer. Like this one is a kind of a tricky one, because it could literally go either way. I don't see Pyfer knocking out Gastelum, but I can see Gastelum probably knocking out Pyfer. Huh. And you know what? Now that I say that, I kind of want to go Gastelum. I'm going to go Gastelum, third round knockout. Moving on to the co-main of the card. Sorry, I'm making this video like off the wake up so that I don't have to make it tomorrow because I won't have much time throughout the week, throughout the rest of the week to make it. And I don't want to make it on Saturday because nobody's gonna watch it on Saturday, and because the card is early, so especially nobody's gonna watch it on Saturday. Excuse me. Manuel Torres versus Drew Dober. Now, Manuel Torres is not black, right? As you all know. So, I'm going to go with Manuel Torres, right? Because we all know Drew Dober only beats black people. Oh, he beat a white person. That's my bad. All right. But no, seriously. Not TKO'd by John Silva. Lost to Moicano. This was a bad loss as well, if I remember correctly. Knocked out Glenn, but this is, come on. Let's look, bro. Bro, look at him, bro. Come on. I'm not even gonna say nothing, bro. Just look at him. I remember this fight versus Frivola. Crazy fight. But he's lost a lot of momentum. He's lost a lot of steam, and he's very old. I believe he's 35, 36, right? But he still does have power in his hands. So I think Manuel Torres should definitely be scared still. He submitted Chris Duncan, which now in hindsight is a pretty good win. All right. Chris Duncan just beat Vucinic, just mogged him, egoed him, babied him, right? Just brutalized. And showed like his ability and strength in the grappling. So for Manuel Torres to get the submission on him, that's a very good win in hindsight. Coming off a knockout loss to Bahamondes though. I don't know how I feel about that. Now, is this his only loss? No, it's not his only loss. I'm interested. I want to see if this is the only time he's been chinned. So, Manuel Torres, UFC. Y'all gonna look this up with me. 30-5-9. Okay. Now let me look at his losses. He has one. All right, so it's his only knockout loss, and his others have been by submission. But the quality of opponents have never been equal to Ignacio Bahamondes. This one's scary. Because, obviously it looks bad that he's coming off a knockout loss and his next opponent is Drew Dober. Right? Drew Dober the racist. Let me look at this reach. 5'10" or 5'9", 5'8", whatever. 73 or 74. I think he could probably do well using this leg reach advantage, right? With kicks, but I think that leaves him open to the exchanges or like the lunges of Drew Dober. I don't know. Drew Dober has a really good chin. For like, even though he's been knocked out before, he still has a really good chin. Like even with the Frivola knockout, he kind of got right back up, but it was kind of obvious that he was losing a little consciousness. He's the favorite. Drew Dober's the favorite. I think if Manuel Torres has the mentality that he just lost to a top 15 opponent, right? And that's like his only loss in the UFC. that he shouldn't be that he shouldn't feel too bad about it, right? Because he just happened to fight somebody else who was on the rise. But if he doesn't have that mindset, I kind of question his ability. Fuck, man. This is home turf, though. Home turf. Fighting in front of friends and family. Crowd all room for him. I think I'm going to go with Manuel Torres. I genuinely don't have a real reason. I just feel like he's going to... I think because this fight's going to for sure get ugly. And, you know, he also showed that he has the capability of being able to get a submission in. So he obviously has the grappling. Drew Dober chooses to not grapple. He's more of a striker. And I think Manuel Torres will find a way to grit and grind his way to a win. I don't know if I see this fight going to decision, bruh. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with Manuel Torres though. And now, the main event, to where I actually know what I'm talking about now. Right, Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg. This one's brain fucking me. Right, I want to look at the odds. What's the odds? No odds. Okay, this one's brain fucking me right now, right? Because, even though we all know how good, Steve Erceg is, it's not true to his ranking, right? But I also don't believe he should be fighting Brandon Moreno. I think Steve Erceg could at least be a top 5 fighter, right? He had a very good fight with Pantoja. And unfortunately, he got knocked out by Car Friends in his last fight. And had this been Brandon Moreno's first fight back, I would have been maybe like, okay, hold on. I think maybe Steve Erceg could clutch it, you know? But Brandon Moreno showed a lot of, he showed domination over Amir Albazi in his last fight. Just murdering him for 5 rounds. Right? And now, Brandon Moreno also has a crazy chin. Like, we've seen him get dropped, but he's never been like super hurt, really. Like, he's been able to get back up. Maybe he's like wobbled a bit, but he's always managed to come back and get back in the fight. And man, if we see that same striking performance, man, against Steve Erceg, man, he's gonna get ugly, man. Like, the only thing Steve has going for him is that he could probably make this fight slightly uncomfortable for Moreno, because not a lot of flyweights have the same reach as Moreno, Erceg, or Royval, and those are like the only 3 real opponents in the top 10 that have that kind of range and kind of size to them, because everybody else is like 5'6" and like 65-inch reach, 66. And Steve Erceg is taller than Moreno. The only loss, well, one of the only losses we've seen in Moreno's recent memory is his loss to Royval. But that one was split decision, and even then Moreno looked kind of off in there. He never disclosed why. I think he said I don't think he said it, but I think they found it out later on that he had like a MCL tear or some shit like that within the fight. The only thing, though, I would say that Erceg has over Moreno as well is power. He definitely has more power and more sting into his punches. But I don't know. I question Erceg's I mean, he accepted the fight, right? Like, he probably feels like he can still beat Brandon Moreno, you know? Because it's just like in every aspect, I think Brandon Moreno is better still. You know, Brandon Moreno has the ability to just shower Erceg with strikes. He has the ability to take him down. He has dynamic strikes. Um, he has a great chin. He's very fast. And he has some sting to his punches too. Like he'll throw the volume, but if he really sits down on a shot, he could do some real damage. Oh man, I just don't like this fight for Steve Erceg, bro. I don't, cause I want to see Steve Erceg with a win, man. You know, I think he's very good. I like him a lot. He became I became a fan. Leading up to the Pantoja fight. I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm really not trying to discredit Steve Erceg or anything, but like he has good grappling. He was able to defend versus Pantoja very well. He's strong for a flyweight too. Even though he looks very thin, he's very strong for a flyweight. But man, that knockout to Kai Kara France just looks so bad. Had he lost the decision, you could maybe still argue, right? But being knocked out, it hurts the narrative a lot. It hurts Steve Erceg's case a lot for this. I'm gonna go with Brandon Moreno. I think it's probably gonna be 49-46. You know, um, I think Erceg's case with Pantoja was just styles makes fights, right? Obviously, Erceg a lot of his advantage over Pantoja was the height, the reach difference in the two, and obviously that's not going to be the same case with Moreno. And obviously, no, not obviously, but I think part of it was Erceg's strength in general that allowed him to do very well versus Pantoja, better than Moreno in recent times. But even in Moreno's fight versus Pantoja, he couldn't get the job done because of his right hand. I think it was his right hand that was broken. So he was just jabbing the entire fight, jabbing, kicking, and trying to survive the grappling exchanges the entire fight. And I feel like I haven't seen enough to know if either one of them looks injured, because nobody comes into these fights 100%. I understand that. But man, it just everything seems so stacked up against Steve Erceg. I genuinely can't see how he beats Moreno. Because no matter how much power Erceg has, Moreno's fought Figgy 4 times and hasn't been knocked out. And Moreno is still very young. I think he's only just turned 32. 31. He's only still 31. Right? Oh man, that sucks, bro. Steve Erceg, why, bro? And seeing what Manel Kape did to Aso Amabayev, Erceg would have absolutely beat Amabayev had he stuck to that fight. Man. Oh man. Unless Erceg just chooses to mainly try and get damage and cuts on Moreno, I don't like with elbows, because he has very good elbows. Very good elbows, uppercuts. He's very good in the pocket, honestly. And Moreno doesn't. It's inconsistent. Moreno's defense, striking defense, is kind of inconsistent. Sometimes he'll let some shots slip through, or sometimes he'll keep his hands too low and get hit. I was gonna say get caught, but like not really. Because he knows he can take it, right? Man, bro, I swear, like I love both of them. I really wish, I really wish this fight didn't happen, bro. Because now because if Steve Erceg loses, he's gonna have to fight fucking Temerov, and oh my god, that's probably gonna be a fucking nightmare too, bro. Because Temerov has so much power. Actually, no, I think Erceg could probably win that if he's careful enough. If he's careful enough, he could definitely win that. But man, I'm gonna go with Brandon Moreno. You know, I swear I would love to pick Erceg, bro. I just can't see him winning, man. I can't see him winning. Too many intangibles that Moreno has that I can't see. That I can't see in Steve. Because especially with Steve's approach, striking heavy, I just don't see it. I don't see him winning in that, and I haven't seen enough offensive grappling for me to really determine if he maybe gets a submission or if he gets a control time win over Moreno. So I'm gonna go with Brandon Moreno. I think 49-46. I think some of the rounds are gonna be close, but Moreno is going to do so much more just off of volume that is going to edge out. Sorry, I just can't think of the word sometimes. That is going to edge out every other round. You know, and I think maybe Steve does well in the first, or maybe in the last. One of those. If Moreno happens to slow down, but that, you know, we don't really see that happen often. Man, that might be a 50-45, bro. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go Brandon Moreno. I'm gonna end the video here. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts on the card. Comment down y'all predictions. And yeah, I'll see y'all for the reaction video.